Good day, subscribers. Welcome back to the Contrarian, everybody. Today we have big news surrounding Michael Burry, made famous in the Big Short. His 13F filing for the second quarter of this year just came out today, and it shows that he has some major short positions on two major US indices, the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq. So today we'll take a deep dive into his updated portfolio, especially these two options position of his, and just take a look at what Michael Burry's thoughts could be for the market right now. And maybe a more updated thing we could go off of right now is his Twitter. He has been tweeting a little bit recently, and his Twitter account has been kind of off and on, but he has been tweeting some fairly bearish posts recently. So obviously, his second quarter 13F filing is kind of looking in the rearview mirror at his Scion Asset Management, his hedge fund. It's not a current view, it's rather a snapshot of what it was like at the end of the second quarter. Now, taking a look at an article I found on Reuters, it's saying that Burry has bought major bearish option positions against the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq 100. So Michael Burry, the money manager made famous in the book and film The Big Short, held bearish options against the broad S&P 500 and Nasdaq 100 index at the end of the second quarter, according to a SEC filing released today. And Burry's asset, Scion Asset Management, bought put options with a notional value of $739 million against the popular Invesco QQQ Trust ETF during the second quarter, and separate put options with a notional value of $886 million against the S&P 500 ETF SPY. So these are not small positions of Burry's, at least the notional value of them. This is important to point out that what Burry would have had to pay for these positions is significantly less for them just because of the nature of options. But, depending on the strike price, expiration on these options, this is still a very large position for Michael Burry. It's probably his largest short position that he's had in the last few years, even including the whole 2020 period. I don't think he ever got this bearish on the general stock market. He had some individual shorts here and there, Tesla maybe being the most notable of them. But even his Tesla short position, I don't think it ever got to be this big. Now, of course, put options, basically a conservative way of going short. You're not stuck having to repurchase shares if the stock or index continues to go up, but you will lose, potentially all of your initial capital if the stock or fund does not go the direction you think it will. And just looking at what the stock market did in the time period that Burry held these options, or maybe likely held them, I'm just going to say it's hard for him to be up on these positions right now. And depending on the duration of these options, maybe they're already expired. Maybe it was a short trade for him. He might still be up a little bit on his positions here, but I'm just going to say it's going to be hard for him to be, because these indices are up anywhere 10 to 15% in this time period between then and now. So it's just going to have been a challenge for Burry to have timed that well. Maybe he did have a very short position in it, a short time period. I don't know, and maybe that happened to just be at the end of June there, at the end of the second quarter. But it's going to have been hard for Burry to have had this have been a profitable position for him. That's all I'm going to say with that. But Burry is likely correct. Obviously, these stock markets are at very generous valuations given where interest rates have gone, given everything that might structurally be showing economic weakness, like the banks, the issues they've had, maybe looking at housing and some troubling data there. So, he's right to maybe look at fundamentals and say that, yeah, the stock market's very overvalued. Unfortunately for Burry, he's been early before, especially in the housing short he had, and that almost went very badly for him, with clients getting very frustrated at him. He was a couple years early with that short, and even though he was correct at the time, that trend ended up going a couple years longer, and so that almost cost him. Even though he ended up winning big on that eventually, it was painful for him during that time. Now, it's also maybe notable to look at other holdings that Burry sold out of. So he sold out of Alibaba and JD.com, as well as regional banks, including PacWest and Western Alliance Bancorp, that it had during the first quarter. And it also sold 150,000 shares of First Republic Bank, but it's unclear whether that was actually before this bank collapsed or not. Now, long positions, Burry actually has added some long positions too, so he's not completely bearish. He more than doubled his stake in an online luxury goods market, the Real Inc., which is up nearly 100% for the year to date. So that's been a really winning position for Burry. He added a new stake in iHeart Media and Hanesbrand and Warner Brothers Discovery, among others. So, iHeart Media, Hanesbrand are down 16%. Warner Brothers is up 43%. He also added a Japanese ETF, which is up 13.5% for the year to date. So, yeah, this was Michael Burry's updated kind of main themes in his portfolio, but it is very interesting. I mean, the takeaway headline from all of this is that Burry is short, pretty largely, to a large extent, he is short on the Nasdaq and the S&P 500. So apparently, he sees some major headwinds for these, major U.S. stock indices, and rightly so. It's pretty obvious they're very overvalued. I mean, the real question here is, does the current trend of overvaluation and growing speculation continue before it goes down inevitably? Is Michael Burry early again on this one, like he was prior with the housing crash and everything like that? I don't know, but I'd love to hear all of your thoughts about this in the comment section below. Let me know what you think about Michael Burry's current positioning, being short these major US indices, and also the recent stocks he's bought. Is he onto something here with some of these picks that he has? Love to hear your thoughts about this in the comment section below, and I hope to see all of you again at some point.